So welcome back to part 2 of building the cities section. Without further ado, let's go back to our website. And this is where we left. Now formatting this shouldn't be so hard, right? We will start with the images now. And yeah, you should probably do this on your own now. So I'll give you some time to do that. Alright. So maybe you paused the video and did it by yourself. So now let's see how I would do it. Okay, so this is a box class, and I want to select the image inside of the box. Now this could be a problem if we had other boxes with images inside of them, but as you know, the other box that we have is this image up here. Sorry, it's this box up here, and there is no image inside of this. So we can just use the selector that we're already used to. Okay. Let's add another code section here. This one is the cities. I really like some consistency here. And now box and image. And what we want here is the image to be exactly as wide as the box. So what we say is width 100%. And obviously the height will then be set automatically. And we can maybe have some margin between the box and the H3 heading. So let's just add some margin to the bottom here of maybe 15 pixels. And let's check this out. Okay, cool. This is great. And now let's add some margin to these lines here. And if you remember, each of those is a div element called city future. All right, so city future, and maybe a margin to the bottom of each of them of 5 pixels. Okay, great. And now comes the most difficult part, which is to format those icons right here. I would like to make them a little bigger and maybe aligned to each other and have an orange color. So let's try to do that. So if you remember the other icons that we used, we actually gave them a class name. As you can see here, we called them icon big. So now let's call these ones icon small. I should have done this before I started to copy, but alright. Now I have to copy it all in all classes here, in all icons, but it doesn't take so long. So person, star, and Twitter. Great. So let's go back here to the reusable section where we have our icons. So icon small. Alright, so the first thing is to make them kind of aligned to each other. So what I will start doing is to say that I want to see these as inline blocks so that I can assign them some width, which I will say should be 30 pixels. And this way I can now say text align, and then I can center them inside of this inline block. and this should work. Now I will also want to give them this nice orange color that we used before. We'll get it here and paste it right here. And I obviously also want those icons to be a little bigger. And as you remember, this is an icon font, so I can just adjust the font size, and let's say, for instance, 120% here. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see that these icons are not quite aligned with the text, right? So what can we do about this? Let me use a nice technique, and I will say that the line height should also be on 120%, and that the vertical align should be to the middle. And maybe that solves our problem. Okay, this doesn't quite look like I would like to, because now it's the other way. They're now two way down here, right? They're still not aligned. So let me tell you another technique we can use. So there are 3 secrets essentially to align those icons. Let me write it here so you can remember it. Secrets to align text and icons. So comments are a great way to do exactly that, right? To comment or code. So we can now set another margin to the top, and this is a new thing because now we will set a negative margin. So negative margin does exactly the opposite thing than a positive margin. So a positive margin gives a space, and the negative margin is kind of takes space away. So this will pull our icons to the top 2 pixels, hopefully. Well, let's see if this works. 2 was maybe not enough. Let me use 4 pixels. And 4 pixels actually looks great. So this is nicely aligned here. And I think this looks quite good. Maybe 5 pixels would also be okay. And another thing we can do is to add some margin to the right, so we have some space between the icon and the text, right? So let me do that as well. So 5 pixels here can be better, and a margin to the right of, let's say, 10 pixels. And with this, I think we're good to go. Yeah, that's it. This looks cool, right? Now there's only one thing left to do in this section, which is to turn these Twitter usernames here into links and then format those links with CSS. So let's do that. So back here in the HTML file, let me just go here. So we want an A element for a link, right? Ref. And once again, we have nowhere to point this thing, so we just use the hash symbol. And let's do the same thing for each of the 4 cities. So Berlin is next, nowhere, and now the last one here. So what does it look like? Okay, these are just some normal links as you are used to see. So what I want to do now is to have links in the orange color, and I also want a more beautiful underlining than this one. So first of all, I will change the color and I will get rid of this underlining. And we have already done this before, so this will be not different from the last time. So I will just open a new code section here for generic links, because we will use these links in more places, maybe. So now I have to format all links at the same time, and so I just use the A, because that's for the most generic links. And I will here, such as I did the last time, specify the link and the active state. So I want the color to be orange. So orange, and I want no text underline. So it's text decoration none. Simple as that. And now what I want is, instead of these underline, I actually want an underline, because that's what most users are used to when they see a link. But we will do that in a more beautiful way, and that's with a border bottom. So a border at the bottom. The simple 1 pixel and solid, and also this orange. And to make it even more stand out, we'll add a padding at the bottom, 1 pixel maybe, so we have some space between the text and the border. So let's see what it looks like. I have to get rid of these blue boxes, which comes every time we select an element. Okay, this is what it looks like. Cool, right? And now one thing left to do is to say what should happen when we hover this link, right? Okay, so let's do that. And as you already know, we now say a hover and a active. And up here it's actually not active, of course, it is visited. So what we want to happen when we hover a link, we want it to become the color of the normal text, which is, if you remember from the beginning, it was like the first thing we said, color is this, gray. And we also want the border to disappear. And do you remember how we do that? So instead of saying we want it to 0 pixels, we simply make it transparent, because that's a much cleaner solution. Transparent. Oh, and again, we want this to happen with a nice transition. So like an animation. So we choose transition, border, bottom, and again an interval of 0 to 2 seconds, and we also want to animate the color. So 0.2 seconds, and that should do the job. What it looks like. Okay, great. This is exactly what we wanted the links to do here, right? Now one thing, what did we notice here, is this one. Because this is also a link, this now also have this this annoying underline, which we actually don't want. These one don't have it, and these of course not, because in this ones we specified the border specifically, which we didn't do on these images, actually on these links. So we need to fix that, and it's quite easy. We just have to go down here to the how it works section, right? And where is it? So down here we just create some code for the button app, because as you remember, this here is the class of the links, button app. So button app link and button app visited should have no border at all. So border is 0. And this should solve our problem. Yeah, so the border disappeared. Alright, so now we have 5 of our 9 sections designed. So we have already more than half of our website completely built. Alright, this is great. So next up we have a customer testimonials section, which will also be very beautiful, as you will see.